Hello, that were a quick couple of minutes. Welcome back online, you too. Welcome back for this afternoon session of the first day of the new European Bauhaus Festival. We are continuing our series of panel discussions. Over 100 days of war in Ukraine, a conference or a festival like this would be irrelevant if it didn't address the question of what discussions on sustainability, on beauty, on doing things together mean for millions of Ukrainians fleeing their homes, suffering while their country is being destroyed by Russian military. So can the answers to the immediate needs of Ukraine be aligned with ideas about a sustainable and inclusive Europe? That question lies at the heart of our next discussion. Alisa de Carbonell, Director for the Europe and Central Asia Program of the International Crisis Group, has kindly accepted to act as a moderator for this panel discussion. So, Ms. de Carbonell, the floor is all yours. Good luck.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here and with such an interesting panel of people. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has led to the biggest and fastest developing humanitarian crisis since World War II in Europe. A third of Ukrainians, pre-invasion population of some 41 million, have fled their homes in the first 3 months only since Russia's military assault. Some 7 million people have left the country, though more than 2 million have returned, despite the dangers. But many no longer have homes to return to. Their cities have been razed. Some 8 million are internally displaced in Ukraine. Within and without Ukraine, communities, civil society, volunteers have stepped in to try to meet their needs. The creative sector and other partners of the new European Bauhaus have been active as well, including with innovative projects, which we'll hear about today, like the paper partition system to offer privacy for refugees in temporary accommodation. The challenge now is going to be scaling up and maintaining such an effort to meet the dire needs of this population over the long haul, and doing so in a way that's sustainable and inclusive. Rebuilding Ukraine, when the fighting stops, will require huge effort, including of willpower. If anything, the Ukrainian people have shown they have that kind of resilience and spirit in abundance. So we have a truly unique panel today to speak about the difficult road ahead. Sergei Orlov, the deputy mayor of Mariupol, a name that has become synonymous with Russia's brutal siege tactics in Ukraine, will be joining remotely. We have Oleg Drozdov, who is here. He's also come from Ukraine just this morning. He's the chief architect of a firm in his name and the co-founder of the School of Architecture in Kharkiv, once Ukraine's second largest city, which has also come under heavy Russian bombardment. He helps lead the Urban Coalition for Ukraine, which looks for ways to achieve quick results through collaboration. Snezhka Kwadvlig-Mikhailovich is the Secretary General of Europa Nostra. She has dedicated her life to championing Europe's shared values and shared cultural heritage, working with all EU institutions, the Council of Europe and UNESCO. Ruth Shaugaman is the founder of Vice Versa Architecture and Maiden. She has served as a member of the Executive Board of the Architects Council of Europe, where she is currently president. And Hubert Tramer is an architect from Poland and a member of the high-level roundtable of the new European Bauhaus. He's a teacher, and he's a nominating expert for the European Union Prize for Contemporary Architecture, Mies van der Rohe Award. So with that, I think we'd like to, we have Oleg online. So I'd just like to turn to you immediately and let you tell us where you're joining from today.
Hello, my name is Sergey. I'd like to welcome all colleagues, all partners, all participants of our conference. My name is Sergey Orlov. I'm the Deputy Mayor of Mariupol City Council, and I would like to tell about Mariupol, its situation, its needs, and its future. Today is 106 days of this terrible war, the war that changed everything in my city, changed everything in Ukraine, in Europe, and in all the world, I mean, civilized world. Before February 2004, Mariupol was well known like the fastest developing city in Ukraine, and it was well known by beautiful beaches, parks, squares, and healthy and wealthy citizens. But now Mariupol is well known like most destroyed city in Ukraine. It is well known like city with destroyed Azovstal territory, city with lack of life, and it is well known like city with brave and strong defenders from Marines and Azov Battalion. Just before the war in December 2021, we developed our new future strategy, and it was developed with the best Ukrainian experts and experts from France, Poland, and United States. And we were very happy to start its implementation. It was voted unanimously by our deputy, and we started to realize it, but everything was changed from the beginning of the war. I'd like to show some slides to share my screen. Do you see the slides? Colleagues, do you see the slides? Oh. Do you see the slides?
We hear you, and we see the slides.
Yeah. Okay. So Mariupol, its population before the war was more than 500,000 citizens. Today in the city we have only 150,000 citizens. More than 25,000 citizens were killed, unfortunately, against this war, and over 43,000 people are deported to Russia. So Mariupol looks like a destroyed and abandoned city with lack of life in general. We start to collect information about level of destroyments using all sources, I mean images, videos, satellite images, and we defined parts of our city which is with medium level of damage, with critical level of damage, and in general we see that Mariupol is damaged up to 95%, and it is destroyed up to 45%. For your understanding, for example, 1,300 many flat houses, condominiums is destroyed, 21,000 private houses is destroyed, and we have a lot of parts of our city with several hectares in territory which are totally destroyed. That's why we start to put it on map, and we start to think how will Mariupol will look in future after deblockading and after liberation from Russian occupants, because we believe it will surely happen until the end of this year. That's why we start to think about different parts of future city life, about how will our economy will looks like. Mariupol was very developed industrial city with big industrial economy, also with IT sphere, with educational sphere, medical sphere, and so on. So we think how will our economy will looks like. We start to think about new approaches in city planning, city building, in housing building, how to implement this vision that is well known in Europe, like economy of energy, like sufficient and well and good for pedestrians, using more climate neutral materials and so on. So we think about our history, we think about our memories, we start to think how should this war museum should like, or how to renovate our historical center, how to build our future business center. So these are the questions that we start to think, and we absolutely know that we need much help and support while thinking with this, while planning. That's why we communicate and build partnership with our European partners, with all friends and partners from Mariupol who can help us in the ideas, in the vision, with the pictures, how can Mariupol looks like in future. We work a lot with our partners, for example, in Poland, with the mayor of Warsaw, with the mayor of Gdańsk, with our friends from Netherlands, from France, and we will be happy to have more partners in our partnership. Altogether, we talk with Oleg Drozdov and Rosquit team, and we think that it's a good platform to plan future innovation of Ukraine, to plan future innovation of Mariupol. We are absolutely sure that Mariupol will develop only in free Ukraine, and we are absolutely sure that after liberating of Mariupol, after the blockation of Mariupol, we will have a lot of work. And we will be happy that if work will be our joint work all together with you, with our partners. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Perhaps you could turn back to, oh, we see you again after the slides. I mean, you were telling us about how 95% of the city is destroyed in some way. Perhaps you could tell us what situation you find yourself in, and your neighbors, and your friends and families and people from the city, and what's needed most right now.
Our citizens in Mariupol mostly need humanitarian evacuation. I'm absolutely sure there is no any way, any possibility to help them inside the city. There's some stocks with food, with money. It's finished up with this 106 days of war, and at the moment, you should understand that in the very first day of the war, Russia destroyed any supplies, municipal communal services, I mean, water supply, sanitary system, natural gas supply, electricity, and there is still our citizens in temporarily occupied Mariupol still do not have any centralized electricity, water, sanitary system, natural gas supply. So they women wash their clothes on the streets by hands. Citizens prepare food on fire in their yards, on streets. So it's current life in Mariupol, how it's look like. And with lack of medical help, with starting epidemic possible of cholera and others, we absolutely sure that the only possible way is to provide humanitarian evacuation, this 150,000 citizens to Ukrainian controlled territory. And we are ready as Ukrainian administration to do this, but Russia totally blocks our efforts and providing humanitarian help. It's from one side. From other side, our displaced Mariupol citizens, our refugees from Mariupol, they need help all over Ukraine, and we start our project. We call it I Am Mariupol. We open these refugee support centers from Mariupol all over Ukraine. We just opened 4 of them in Kyiv, Dnipro, Vinnytsia, and Zaporizhia, and we plan to open more of them, at least 8 of them. And we very thankful for the help that goes from our partners. I mean, Save the Children, World Central Kitchen, DRC, and other partners. Thank a lot to them.
Thank you, Sergey. Where do you find yourself now? I mean, where are these shelters and your family? And what kind of projects have you been working on with Oleg or discussing for people who are displaced?
Yeah, me personally, I'm near Mariupol. I work in Zaporizhia, but my family is in safe place in Western Europe because it's not safe to live at the moment, even in Zaporizhia. The project that we work with our partners and discussed with Oleg, it's our vision of new Mariupol. We need to think a lot what will be the mission of future Mariupol, what will be the vision of Mariupol, because before we had a mission to build Mariupol as the like showcase of renovated new Donbass. And we think, so we, you know, we thought that this like Berlin Wall that was destroyed while joining Western and Eastern Germany. So we should build in Mariupol something like Western Berlin with the best level of life, with the best quality, with the happy citizens. And we made a lot. We were successful because before the war, 85% of our citizens were proud of being Ukrainian, were proud of being Mariupol citizens. And it's high results that we reached for last 5 years. That's why we have a lot of work finding and formulated new mission, new vision of Mariupol, and planning total rebuilding of Mariupol, its economy, its transport system, its roads, its medical services, communal services, school, kindergartens. We should build from the scratch, from zero level, new city, and we are ready.
Okay. Well, I want to bring Oleg in on that, since you've been having those conversations about, you know, looking ahead, if possible. It's so difficult right now.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, it's very big a mixture of everyday reaction, because every Ukrainian scroll at news, and this is like a part of our lifestyle. Try to mix dream about peace and post-war progress, and react to these very dramatic things which happen every day. Yeah. And we decide what we cannot just react to this dramatic news daily, and we start dreaming about. I think we have quite a lot of time to shape our dream, to understand what we are fighting for, what we're resisting for. And this is for us super important, and we realized that we have to do it together with our foreign partners. That's why our initiative, Rosquit, was combined. Could you, maybe also time.
What about the presentation?
Sure, we'll move to the presentation. Let me just ask you one question for Sergey and for you both. Perhaps you could say, you know, with everybody displaced, and you're talking about, you know, vision for the future, rebuilding, and these kinds of things, how are you keeping this network alive? How are you keeping these conversations going? I mean, this is part of what the new European Bauhaus is as well. But how are you staying in touch with everybody and keeping, you know, keeping these hopes going? Sergey.
So as to us, like legal Ukrainian administration, we keep in touch with all our Mariupol citizens. So first of all, we do it while meeting them in the first point where they evacuated from occupied territory, I mean Zaporizhia. So Zaporizhia is the first point where our citizens evacuated either by themselves or by some volunteers. We meet them We help them, we talk with them, and there is a separate program how to help them. But we know that in short time they leave Zaporizhia and try to find safe place in Ukraine. At the moment, about 200,000 Mariupol citizens are all over Ukraine and they need help. We communicate with them with this, our project, I'm Mariupol. So it's physical centers, big centers, beautiful centers with the philosophy of helping our refugees and displaced Mariupol citizens. So they feel themselves in this center like in Mariupol before. So they are, first of all, the staff of this center are also displaced people from Mariupol, and they share their histories, their way, their life in previous, their plans. They receive humanitarian help. We provide food boxes, we provide hygiene boxes, medical boxes. We make them legal help support, psychology help. The family doctors work in this center. There is a child room in this center and help with accommodation and future jobs. So they energize in this center and want to talk, to communicate, to help. And about 80%, about 90% of them are dreaming and waiting to return to Ukraine, Ukrainian Mariupol after liberation.
Okay, thank you, Sergei. Oleg, I believe you can tell us a bit more about some of the projects you've been doing that are actually to help people within these centers.
A few words about Roskvit. It was natural reaction to the what happened in Ukraine. And we'll have slides also?
Yes, I think.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, and this is finally, we did this collaborative platform based on a Kharkiv School of, platform of Kharkiv School of Architecture. It's Urban Coalition, which set up quite a big community of experts worldwide, but mostly all of them somehow related with Ukraine, have previous experience to work or still involved in many projects. That's why this quite balanced cooperation there. We have half to half, but and all these participants have previous relations. That's why we work in very efficiency. If we're talking about which kind of challenges we will meet in post-war future, as well as some of the new challenges already came to our scene. It's first of all we crossing some mental border. I understood and become much more critical to our Soviet heritage and needs to transform that. And this is also not just from technical energy points. It's also this is social quality of environment. We feel what have to be transformed to the future, but also it's a big trauma and how to talk with the people, how to reshape built environment, which very much related with the human drama, and this is very important. And many new approaches already came to Ukraine. Some of the donors try to give some already made things, and some of them want to present, do a project of recovery as a present. But we are strongly believe just the one way it's strong cooperation. Then during this process of thinking, this is like a becoming studying by doing. This could be deep collaboration between different experts from abroad, and also unite many local experts. And this is our idea to combine people from different fields, from design research, and also to create by Rosquit a very, very deep academical cooperation. And what we will start our program from understanding who we are, what is our needs, what is the structure. I take this diagram from Lilith Breger's research after post-war conflict, and we could see that what usually process of understanding of situation between media and political support, how it's from a big increasing goes down, but needs to support have absolutely different kind of diagram. And we will have this is a quite huge gap, and there's a capacity to recovery. There's a knowledge is good recovery. This gap, it's also limited, and this will be some kind of most difficult moment. And if we look at some our capacity level before war, it's serve current situation, but war open completely new challenges, and we will be not enough expertise inside of country, because some percentage will be immigrated, but also it will be enormous development of civic society, which now works defend and works as one of fantastic narrow grid, and this is becoming a new relation between a country and society. It's very big place for trust between government and society, and many things happen. And also there's a huge possibility to rethink all this policy and procedure for much deeply participation in a process of development. And also energy issue is super important. And what we are, if we're talking about our sequences, we first of all, there's a level we have to realize why, who we are, and how we could do that. And this is it's simple things, but also it's not very clean yet. What is our values for future, and what is our goals? And for peers, and one of the most important to us is to build a community which will be willing to redevelop country, and a very strong thing. Identity also was important, and methodology and education become most important, most relevant driver of that. And on top of that, we could create new policies, new lifestyle, new understanding of community. It's exactly what I want to point from what is our focus of our coalition and our professional, what is a level of discussion in our professional field. Thank you.
Well, let me come in on that, because you're talking about community and identity, and I know you've been speaking about collaborations with architects in other places. So I wanted to ask, what have you been speaking up with you, Ruth, and maybe Ruth, you could come in and say, where you see the potential for collaboration between Ukrainian architects and European architects, especially in this sort of crisis mode, but also potentially longer term.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will just pass by here. Yes, first of all, I'm really pleased and honored to be here sitting with these dear colleagues, which are really highly engaged in all these topics concerning the support and also the sign of solidarity towards not only our colleagues in the Ukraine, but also towards the citizens. And for the Architects Council of Europe, it was really important to state the solidarity as quick as possible. But it's not only about showing the solidarity, it's also about doing solidarity. And this doing is really not so easy. And I really admire the power of willingness of the Ukraine colleagues and also of the citizens in the Ukraine to, at this point and at this stage of war, to discuss the reconstruction of their country and their cities. And for us, as the Architects Council of Europe, I would not have dared to think about it 1 week after the war started, but the Ukraine colleagues underlined it. They gave the voice to this situation. Oleg was one of the first in this discussion. And yes, we have full admiration for this. And now the question you propose is, what are we doing? I think one of the most important let's say, things that we have to keep in mind during the aim of the reconstruction is really about a trust between the local government and the local citizens and the local architects. Oleg already mentioned it. I think that's really utmost important, because what should not happen in this situation is that Ukraine has been sold out, let's say, to put it to a point. And in our opinion, as the Architects Council of Europe, we really think that the new European Bauhaus initiative will give a powerful impact also for the citizens, because they need empowerment. They want really they have to know that it's their willingness how their country and their cities are going to look about it. And Sergei already really lively described what the people are living through, which trauma they are going through. So it's not only about architecture, it's not only about infrastructure, it's also about an idea of a social community, you know, how to live together, how they want to live together. It's about providing identity. It's about a sustainable, healthy living environment, and also vital communities. And this vital community cannot happen top down. It has to be bottom up. It has to be about co-creation. It has to be about really going towards a sustainable environment together. And the new European Bauhaus really points it out. It's about beautiful, it's about beauty, it's about inclusion, and it's about sustainability. But the big question is, what are these 3 points? Is sustainability only energy counting, or is sustainability also the cultural value, and not only the economical value, but also the social value? And I think these 2 points are often left beside. And in the Architects Council of Europe, we are really discussing this very thoroughly, and also with other colleagues in the European environment. Culture is a driving force if you rethink a country that is completely destroyed. And I think that we have to really, really keep in mind. And I have the fundamental impression of Sergei as a mayor of a city that has been destroyed to over 95%, with what an energy and what a positive perspective he is fighting together with other partners towards reconstruction. And reconstruction might also be the wrong wording, because it's not about reconstructing something that already exists. It's really about shaping identity for a future together. And we as Architects Council of Europe, we're doing different things. One point was the humanitarian approach. Well, this was one point. The other point is that the Ukraine colleagues of the Architects Union are now our members. So we have the possibility to also then closely connect and discuss their topics in depth. And secondly, it's also the approach towards the policymakers. It's the approach towards Zelensky. It was an approach towards Ursula von der Leyen to really state new European Bauhaus has a power. And the third one is we are preparing a memorandum with emergency architects because between now and reconstruction, there will be a vital element where things have to happen, and emergency architects are the experts in this field, so we are also working together with them. And then the big topic, and Snezhka is going to speak about it, it's really about the heritage and how to really go through identity through the heritage, and how can you rebuild heritage when it's destroyed. It's really a big challenge.
Well, Snezhka, let's turn to you now so you can come in on that, and what role you really see for the institutions with which you have collaborated, and maybe a bit about your personal experience, because you've also from former Yugoslavia, so you've had some knowledge firsthand of some of the trauma that war can inflict.
No, thank you so much. I must say that after listening to Sergei and Oleg, it's difficult to speak because I feel very humble, and again, the admiration to see in the way the calmness and the sort of also the vision for the future that you are having as the wars goes on is just, you are really giving us a lesson to us all. Yes. When indeed yesterday, when I spoke with our colleagues from Kiev, Ihor Poshivalo, who is coordinating a Heritage Emergency Response Initiative, and we are working close with them, I told them, I will be speaking. The first panel at the New European Bauhaus Festival is dedicated to Ukraine. And he said, thank you, and tell them all that we are not here fighting and defending just for our territory. We are fighting for our soul, for our identity, for our memory, for our culture, which is part of the shared European culture, history, and heritage. So that means sort of being patriotic Ukrainian and patriotic European is two sides of the same coin. So thank you, New European Bauhaus Festival, for this statement and giving us the platform here together with our colleagues from Ukraine to say that all these principles, beauty, sustainability, inclusiveness of the NAB, it's all relevant for the help what we are giving now and for the recovery of Ukraine, because the war is all the negation of the NAB values. It's all we are fighting for the beauty, and this is ugliness of the culture of violence. And yeah, as you have recalled, I come from a country which doesn't exist anymore, Yugoslavia, and that it doesn't exist. It was teared down and destroyed by a very ugly, different type of war, but very ugly war. And my personal story is I come from Belgrade, but as it happens, destiny was that I found myself in The Hague when the Yugoslav army that at that time was composed of Serbs and Montenegrins. So in a sense, in my name, were bombing the World Heritage City of Dubrovnik. And I started working in Europa Nostra when the bombs were falling on Dubrovnik. And my first statement was this, writing a resolution sort of condemning this destruction. And I thought it was science fiction. And in a sense now, and it explains my passion, why 30 years later I'm still here, and why I feel an extraordinary sort of compassion and solidarity with what is happening in Ukraine. It's, my personal thing, but there are so many colleagues from the heritage world, European, international organization, that real time sort of got mobilized. Unprecedented times, there was a birth of an unprecedented mobilization. Please just show the slide. There is the first slide that I wanted to show to you. And as your organization, Ruth, we immediately made a statement condemning and saying, heritage is in danger. Now, 100 days later, this is just a few images. I wish these were the only ones. But we know now that they documented that about 300, at least 300 heritage sites have been damaged or totally destroyed in places affected by the war. And so they have been deliberately destroyed. Some people said, how do you know that it was deliberate? But do we really need a written proof? We know that this sort of annihilation also of cultural memory and identity of Ukrainian people is part of this, is the strategy of this brutal war. And this is something that we together with many heritage organizations, sort of local, national, European, international, we got with, you spoke about urban coalition. I think we are speaking about really a true civil society and professionals coalition for cultural heritage in Ukraine. And in very different ways, we are trying to be helpful. At the beginning, of course, and still now, there is a necessity for emergency help. And there again, it is impressive what Europe has done, what the European Union institutions have done, but also various governments from Europe and various organizations providing the material necessary for emergency works, for evacuation of collections, because that's also, if the collections are also destroyed, if archives are also destroyed, then really the memory is annihilated, and then it's also very difficult to reconstruct. Because it is possible, though it's never the same, because reconstruction of destroyed cultural heritage sites, we have experienced, alas, in Europe enough after the many wars that we have witnessed in Europe. In the Second World War, Warsaw was Mariupol, was 90% of the city was destroyed. Today, not only the city was reconstructed, but also the heart, the historical heart was reconstructed according, so there is a lot of work has been done, what kind of standards and practices you can do in order to do it as much as possible with the respect of the authenticity as much as we can. In Yugoslavia, in former Yugoslavia, we know all the images of the bridge, the old bridge in Mostar. Again, it has been destroyed, but it has been reconstructed as much as possible with respect of traditional techniques and respect of cultural heritage. So that means that the sort of, now we have to help with the emergency help. When I speak about emergency help, it's also helping people, helping our colleagues, helping the professionals working on the ground. They're not leaving the country because they're keeping their museum. They're keeping they're really the guardian, the defendants of these extraordinary sites that are important also for the morale of the people in the war. And we have done something symbolic. We raised, we launched the crowdfunding campaign. Perhaps you can show up. There we can see, together with our colleagues from the United States, Global Heritage Fund, and we raised 50,000 euro. And then Alif, very important foundation based in Geneva, came with a matching sum. So we have 100,000 euro, and we said, well, what are we going to use it? And then we decided to create a Heritage Solidarity Fellowship for Ukraine. It means that we will be giving to our fellows, professionals from who are on the ground, fellowship of 500 euro. But 500 euro for them in these terrible times is something which will keep them going, and they can continue defending the cultural heritage. So I very much hope we received 1,300 applications, and we can, with this money, we can help only 150. So I'm very much hoping and using this platform to call other foundations and perhaps even the European Union to help us with these small amounts of money. We can have this help for our colleagues now on the ground. But as you have been saying, and Sergei and Olev, now already we have to have the vision for the future. And what was fantastic to hear the forceful message of Ursula von der Leyen in the opening session when she was speaking from Rome, when she said, we will reconstruct Ukraine and we must do it and we will do it together with our Ukrainian, the local population, with the Ukrainian people. And we add revival and reconstruction of cultural heritage sites must be also very much part of that grand design. And then she also added, it has to be done right,
Yes,
on the
exactly.
basis of the principle of the new European Bauhaus. So I wish that when the reconstruction of the Balkans was going on, that we had the new European Bauhaus. We didn't have it. And I can tell you, a lot of ugly things were done and a lot of wrong things were done and still are going on in a wrong way. So understanding that the values and the principles of this new European Bauhaus can inspire that this is done, that the tragedy that you've done, at least you will really live a renaissance. And we want to dream that with you, and we want, together with all our colleagues, to sort of be part of that European success story.
Well, that's a really inspiring sort of way in which to see it, and I do want to bring in Hubert on this because, after all that we've heard, he's been thinking a bit more about what role for the new European Bauhaus now, and I believe. Do you have a presentation?
Yes,
as well? So he's coming from Warsaw, where there's a huge community of Ukrainians now and already collaborating on these projects.
So not only Warsaw, the whole Poland.
Yeah.
And what as is in title of my presentation, the standing with Ukraine is not only for the Ukraine, but also for the European Union and for the better and more peaceful world. That Ukraine is defending our values. But what is also important, that what is good for the Ukraine is good for the whole world, because if Ukraine wins, it will be the strong signal that there is no way of dealing with aggression. And what is also important to mention, that one day after the visit of Ursula von der Leyen in the Kiev, in the everyday speech to the Ukrainians, the President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the reconstruction of Ukraine should be based on the principle of beauty, sustainability, and inclusiveness. So I don't know if any other so high-ranked politician in the other country has said so. And it is also, as Ursula von der Leyen said, the importance. So it is also important that such politicians get on the train and go to Kyiv, the opposite way as the refugees who came to the neighboring countries. This is the photo from Chełm, one of the cities where the rescue trains were reaching Warsaw, and the city which is also the hub for segregating humanitarian help going from around Europe. And it was the city where the former supermarket Tesco was one of the reception center created. And here, I don't know if you hear in the middle, this woman in the long coat. This woman has shown me on her smartphone the photo of the destroyed house in which she rescued bombing in her bathroom. And those people came to this reception center, and there we have installed something which happens because of the new European Bauhaus. Shigeru Ban, Japanese architect, on the 2nd of March has sent an email that it is good to implement his system for the refugees, and on the 9th of March we have opened it in the refugee center in Chełm. Here you see in the middle Shigeru Ban with two refugee twins brothers and two volunteers in this center. And here is the group. The only person in the COVID mask is the mayor of the city of Chełm, the youngest mayor in Poland. On your left from him is Shigeru Ban, and also local volunteers and students from Poland. Me is also here, and also the volunteers from the other country. Here is the student, 23 years old, who planned the layout. And we have prepared by the matter proposed of Shigeru Ban, the tubes, not only for this place, but also the tubes to be sent to the Ukraine. And here you see the big holes. And here in this box, it is box where originally were chocolate. I bought it in Kharkiv in 2018. Here is the coat of arms of Ukraine, and inside is the Ukraine anthem. And here are the remnants of drilling the holes. You can have it as a souvenir. And here, this guy drilling the holes, it is the Swedish helicopter pilot who has 1 month's duty and 1 month's break. And during this break, he came with French from the Swedish Protestant parish to help the refugees, and they were helping us to prepare this element. Then we have problems with fire authorities, so we have to, the city of Chełm has to replace the original curtains from donation to the fireproof ones. And then we have also did it in other places in Poland. It is the railway station in Wrocław, and we also have sent the material to Lviv, where Oleg and other friends have implemented it at, I don't know if more, but at least 16 places, 12 in Lviv, 2 in Umań, and 2 in Czerwonogród, where also the refugees were using this element. It was also implemented in Slovakia, thanks to contacts of Maria Benaszkova-Ryszkova, also for the European Bauhaus high-level roundtable. And we have also in Poland developed how to make more advanced solutions. There are naps in the curtains, and also one firm which offers us a place, the proposed advanced method of drilling the holes. And also different contacts. For example, you see this guy on the left. He is Iranian who was living for many years in the Ukraine, in Odessa, and because of the escalation of war, he has to leave Ukraine. And I met him in a refugee camp, and he said, I'm waiting for a Canadian visa so I can help you. And he came also to drill the holes for the next part to be sent to Ukraine. We also made it in the next place. Here is the former school, when I was installing it with the refugees being in the place. So we have to modify it because these refugees did not want us to move their beds. And here you see there was one small classroom when there was only one family, and it was not supposed to be there, but this woman on the left photo has came to me and said, we would like to feel a bit at home, and we would like to divide the place where we eat. So please give us just one module. And here is also the interesting thing. It is the former school and former toilet transformed into the shower place you see. And this is the other project in the office tower. The developer has gave one floor, and the group, which is also part of the Bauhaus program of places of education, they have transformed one floor of the office building for the school, for the children who would like to continue Ukrainian program, not to join the Polish school. And that make me a reflection that one friend of mine has said that somebody from Western Europe has asked him what Central Eastern Europe what Western Europe can learn from Central Eastern Europe. He was not able to answer. I was not able to answer too. But after 1 week, I found the answer to be oriented on solving problems, not on avoiding them. Orientation on avoiding problems often means that people prefer to escalate existing problem than to risk appearing new problems, and this orientation of avoiding problems gave us Second World War and gave us this war. And Ursula von der Leyen seems to understand to open new ways, but we have also to change Europe, because one of the foundations of Europe is corruption. Everybody knows that Gerhard Schröder is the symbol of the corruption of the economy, but not everybody knows that there was also other person corrupted by Russia. It was Voltaire, who was paid by the Russian Caesar Katarina to discuss with Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Diderot against their statement against her aggression. And this is the slide from the presentation we in the New European Bauhaus made for the President for the Lion in June last year, that NEP initiative must reflect on the relation between the countries of the European Union and other parts of the world. We have to get rid of colonization. All the proposal to give Putin possibility to go out with face, they are deeply rooted in colonial mentality. We also are in the place Maritime was the effect of colonial robbery, and what European Bauhaus can do, that Ukraine should be as quickly as possible part of the European Union, but such initiative as European Bauhaus and other initiatives should include Ukraine as equal member, and not also Ukraine, also Georgia and Moldova. They are on the same stage of preparation, so we should not wait if the war appears, but let their country to be part.
Hubert,
and also,
let me...
two last sentences. And also, what is important, that here you see the capitals of the European Union. And I think that it is the time that also one of capitals of European Union should be in the Ukraine. For example, Chernivtsi, it is the place which is much more multicultural than Strasbourg, that it will reflect that the European Union is not only the old core of it, but also the openness for the development, because now the Ukraine is where the heart of the European values.
Thank you, Hubert. I want to quickly sum up what we've heard, because, I mean, we had great words from Snezhka about how Ukraine is really fighting for its soul, and we've heard different facets of that, and we've heard about, fellowship programs, about concrete help for refugees, about ways in which we can sort of have a sense of hope by starting to think already now about envisioning some kind of future and rebuilding and collaboration with partners in Europe, architects, just the sheer mobilization and spirit of things. Sergei's still online. I'd like to kind of go around and have some last words from each of the speaker really briefly, because we're running out of time. But Sergei, from everything we've heard today,
thank you for doing such a great task, for such a great job. We feel support, we feel strong support from all European community. Unfortunately, the most needed at the moment is military help, but I think and hope that it will change soon, and we will build peaceful Ukraine all together with European community and society. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergei, and thanks for joining us from remotely. Oleg, do you want to sum up?
Yeah, I think one of the most important steps what we have to do, we have to improve our knowledges, and this one way for education. And this is have to be like a total type of this education, which goes through different, not just for academic institution, also from different initiative and voluntary work, and also it's time to educate for our decision makers, and this is education becoming like one of the most important front. I hope. Yeah.
I think it's a lovely thing to leave with, especially as that's a place of much collaboration. Snezhka, no, you wanted to say.
Few final messages to the European Union. We have always been with our colleagues fighting for 2% for culture within the European Union funds. So within the future trust fund for Ukraine, 2% for culture in its widest sense. That's message number one. Message number two, following what you have been saying, indeed, history also, approaches to history in a holistic way, West and East, much more working on the reconstruction and reuniting the memory also in Europe, not just the markets, but also our culture and memory. For the colleagues from the new European Bauhaus, definitely involve now Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, but please also don't forget the Balkans, because also in Belgrade this afternoon there is a side event. They really badly need new European Bauhaus principles. last message, let's all of us support that Odessa is put on the World Heritage List in danger now, because there is an initiative and we can do it, and it's an additional way we can help. And last but not least, all of you who are in Brussels tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock, we give you a rendezvous in the Town Hall of Brussels, Grand Place, with the Mayor of Brussels, European Movement International and Europa Nostra. Young Ukrainian musicians are giving a concert for peace and hope as part of the NEP.
Frederic, you have the last word, and we're...
Okay, it's about collaboration, it's about trust, it's about strengthening the quality of the built environment for the future. So it's about economic, environmental, social, and cultural, underlined, very much values that have to be implemented in the same way. And the future of the architecture and the urban development in the Ukraine will reflect the democratic values they are fighting for at the moment. And the European architects and all other colleagues, we are ready to provide support in order to achieve together a beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive future. And that's what we are here for.
Thank you. I want to thank all of our speakers for such a rich and emotional discussion today that also leaves us with a bit of hope and inspiration for the future. So thank you to each of you, and Sergei, who is online, and thank you to our viewers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hold up.